Hey there. All right, we're going to get started. Today, I want to take you through dividing a multi-digit number by a two-digit number. So, we're going to start off though with something kind of, well, it's not as difficult maybe. So, let's get warmed up first. All right, we're going to take this amount, 112 is what this is. So, we're going to use the number pieces here to kind of fill two groups. So what we want to remember is in division, we are creating equal shares, right? Equal amounts, equal groups. So if I divide this by 2, I can come up with 2 equal groups, hopefully. And maybe I'll have something left over and we call that a remainder. So we can do that by breaking the pieces apart and just doing it one by one. Here, this is, if I divide this amount up, you can see I can put the ones in the boxes here. And it doesn't really matter which order you do things in, but a lot of people want to start with the larger number. Okay, so I could start with the ones there, but it might be more efficient to start with the largest number, just like we do with our division method. All right, so we have 100 piece here. The 100 piece, can we put one of these in two groups? No, we can't. So we're going to have to break it into 10 equal pieces. All right, so we're going to have to change it. Okay, so we got to get rid of that. And then we'll add 10 tens, because 10 tens make 100. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now can I divide? Oh, I can include this 10 as well. That's 11 tens, right? Can I divide some of these tens into the two groups? Yes, I can. So let's just do them one at a time. There's 1, there's 2, so 1 in each group. Let's see, there's 2. Remember, my original number was 112, okay? Maybe I should write that up here. 112 was the amount, because I had 100 piece, 2 tens, and 2 ones. All right, so I'm going to keep going. So I can put 3 in the top group and 3 in the bottom. So those are equal shares. So I just keep dividing them up. Okay? Remember, this number here is the number being divided, the amount. It's called the dividend, all right? So I'm going to keep going, and let's divide this into a group, and now this into a group, okay? And now I'm stuck. I cannot do any more. I have 5 in the top group and 5 in the bottom group. So they kind of look equal right now, right? I'm going to bunch them up a little more so I can fit some of these ones into my bottom group and the top group, because I cannot divide any more tens. So we started with 100. We couldn't divide that up. And then we went to 11 ones, okay? Or 11 tens, I'm sorry. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's change it back to yellow. Okay, so look up here. This is the same thing we do when we divide place by place. I start with the 1 for 100, and then I try to divide the tens all together with the hundreds, and that's 11 tens. And so we have 5 in the top, 5 in the bottom, and 1 left over here to keep dividing, as well as the two ones. So now I'm left with 12, okay? 12 altogether. So I'm going to change this 10 bar into, or 10 piece into ones, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I can divide these into the groups. There's 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. let's see, 1, 1 here. So that's 4 in the top, 4 in the bottom. I'm just going to keep going. All right, 5 in the top, 5 in the bottom. Oh, we're almost done. 6 in the top, and I can do one more for the bottom. So that's my equal shares. So the answer is going to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones. So that is 56. So the problem was we were dividing up 112 into two groups. So you can write that a number of ways. 112 divided by 2, and you get, what would we say, 56, okay? Or you can divide it this way. You can make 112 in a bracket, and then divide it by 2. And again, the first thing you do is divide the tens, because we can't divide the hundreds. And I'll show the whole thing here. This is our one-digit divisor dividing a multi-digit number. And that's really not 5. Remember, we're doing the tens. It's 5 tens, so it's 50. So 50 now in two groups makes 100. So this shows us how much we have left to divide. And we have 12. That's what we had originally. We had 12 and we changed them to ones. Now 2 divides 12. How many times? Yeah, 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So that's perfect. I can put 6 in two groups to make 12. And so then I have 0 left over to divide. So my answer is 56. So this is 3 different ways that you can divide. You can just cut the 112 in half if you can do the mental math, or you can use the place by place method, or you can draw a picture. Which one is the fastest? Well, obviously the one that would be the fastest would be this one here, and right here that I'm scribbling over, 112 divided by 2. But a lot of people have struggled with some of those facts, so they need to break it apart into smaller amounts. Okay, so what would be the next fastest way to do it? Do you think the picture or the division I just did here? Yeah, probably the partial quotients method here would be fastest, because I used my facts to break it down into smaller division problems. The picture took us a long time. Now we still got the same answer, but it took us a while. So this is one reason we really need to work on learning a method for division. Any method. This is a nice one because it keeps everything in line and really works on the concept using place value. Okay, so let's go back now to another problem. If I have a number, let's say 100 or 1,403, and I want to divide it now by a double-digit number, okay, not a single-digit divisor, then I have to, it's going to take me a little bit more time, right? Because I'm going to have to do a few more calculations most likely. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is divide it up place by place again, right? Sorry, so whoops, clicked on the wrong tab. There we go. So we have 1,403 divided by 14. So does 14 divide 1? Well, that's kind of hard to think in my head. Well, actually, 1 is not so hard, okay? I know I can't give a person a $1,000 bill, for instance. They don't make those anymore, but I like to think money when I'm doing this. So I pretend that there's $1,000 bills still. And so I cannot give that to 14 different people, one of them. So I'm gonna have to break it into more parts. So let's make it 1400s, okay? And that I can divide, all right? So how many times or how many hundreds would each person get? And they would get, so if I'm just looking at the 14, they would get 1 each. Now, I put the 1 in the hundreds place. That's where I'm dividing to. And I remember, oh, this is 100. So zeros go here. So what is 100 times 14? That's right. It's 1,400. Okay? Now, if you go back to my last problem, I followed the same steps. I started with the hundreds and then I went to the tens. Okay? So you just keep working your way down the line, place by place. Has anything changed now that I'm dividing with 2 digits? No, not really. I just might have to do some more calculations to figure things out. And this one, it's going to be pretty straightforward and pretty easy, and you won't have to do that. But we'll do another one. So 1,403 subtract 1,400 works well, and you're left with 3. Now you have to, it's just 3 ones. Can you divide 3 ones by 14? No, you can't. So this is called our remainder. Okay, so then we end up with 100, and I don't have to write it off to the side or anything. Since I don't have anything stacked above it, I would just put 100, remainder 3. Okay, and we're done. Now let's try another one. Now a good thing during these videos to do is to take notes. It will help you remember things a little bit better and start to practice the process even if you're still struggling. Because once you start to understand the steps too for this particular concept, then it's going to make it a little bit easier, and you learn a little bit each time you watch the video. So you could watch the video more than once as well. All right, so let's try another one here. Let me move some things around. Okay, I'm going to erase this, and we'll try, let's see, 7,142. Okay, divided by, let's try 42. Now this one is going to be a little trickier, okay, because I have a bigger divisor now, bigger than 14, and I just know based on the numbers it's going to be a little bit trickier to do. So one thing I like to do, because I don't know how much 42 divides this number, is to make it easier on myself. I do know facts like this. 40 facts of 40 times a number would be easy for me to calculate. So it's close to 42, so I can use it to estimate my quotient, my partial quotient. Okay, and so we use this estimating tool to help us get started. So 42 doesn't divide 7. All right, so here's 7. It doesn't divide 7, but so if I have 7,000s, I can't give 7 to 42 people. How about 7,100s? Yes, you sure can. So how many times will that work? Well, what times 42 is close to 71? Well, now we're going to go down here to our estimate. All right, we rounded this down, something close to 42. What, if I put 1 in each group, okay, that would be 40. Can I do 2? If I did 2, that would be 200. That would be 80 or 8,000, right? Because this would be 200. So that would be too much, right? So that's not going to work. But the estimate helped me to kind of figure out, all right, I just need 1 in each group. So 1 stands for 100. All right, now that brings me to another point. This is our first step in the process. We're going to divide first. All right, we're dividing up an amount that will work, and not the whole thing, just part of it, just to the hundreds. And we're going to say, if I put 100 in each of these groups in 42, then I would get 4,200, because 100 times 42 is 4,200. So that fact was easy to calculate. Now I can subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 4 minus 0 is 4. 7, I'm going to have to ungroup because I can't take 2 away from 1. So this becomes 6. Okay. And then this becomes 10 more. So it's 11 minus 2. And that is 9. And then 6 minus 4 is 2. So I still have 2,942 to divide. Okay, so let's keep working. Let's go through the steps too real quick. I skipped writing that down, but let me go back to it. If I put 100 in each group, I have to figure out how much I divided. So I multiplied to figure out how much that is. 100 times 42. So that gave me 4,200. So my next step was multiplication. After that, I subtracted to see what was left to divide. So then I end up with 2,942. Now I'm going to check. Can I keep dividing? Yes. This number is still something I can divide into 42 groups. So I'm going to go back up and keep dividing. All right. So let's try another. Round of division. Does 42 divide 2? No. How about 29? No. So I did make a good choice with 100 because I can't divide the hundreds anymore. There's 29 of them. So now I go to tens. I make these tens. 294 tens divided by 42. So now I go back to my 40. What times 40 is close to 294? Think about your facts. What times 4 is close to, say, the first 2 digits, 29, right? That'll get you there, and then make it 10 more. So here's what I mean. If I put 7 tens in each one, that might get me there. It might be too much. 70 times 40 is 2,800. So I know 7 times 4 is 28. So that got me started, right? But remember, you're not multiplying times 40. It's 42. That just got you started. So now let's check. Let's check with 42. So now I have to multiply 70 times 42. So this is the method I use for multiplication. I do 70. It's called the expanded notation method. I call it an area model. Usually, so 70 times 40 and 70 times 2 is what I'm going to do. That will help me multiply those two numbers. Again, using place value to help make our calculations and make them easier. So 2,800 is what I get with 70 times 40. We already figured that out. And what's 70 times 2? Yeah, 140. So let's see, does that work? Can you add those together in your head? You can also add them vertically. Let's see, that's 2,940. Wow, that was really close. And that is less than 2,942. So that will work. Okay, so we're going to write that number down below, 2,940. Okay. So now I can subtract, and I'm left with 2. Now I want to see, can I keep dividing? No, I can't, because 2 is much smaller than 42. I can't divide them as a whole number or to get a whole number answer. Okay, so I am done. So now we're going to end up with 170 because we add the two partial products, partial quotients, and we write down the remainder on the side, remainder 2. 170, remainder 2. Okay, so now you try a problem here. Let's have you try a problem. How about 23 dividing 1,000, how about 4,891. Okay, solve that problem right now, and then try that on your own, on your scratch paper, and then I will come back and we can check it. All right, so bam, there you go. There's your answer. It's 4,891 is divided by 23, 212 times remainder 15. So first I found that I could divide 4,000 or 48 hundreds, okay, 48 hundreds, 2 in each group. I could put 2 in each group. So that would make 46 or 4,600 that are divided up. Okay, 46 hundreds are divided up. So then I subtracted that, and I'm left with 291. Next, I divide 291 by 23. Okay, and I put 10 in each group, and that's 230. 230 here that I divided up, because 10 times 23 for each group is 230. I can't do any more. I knew that if I put 10 in each group, that would be enough. So again, going back to knowing how the powers of tens and the shift pattern works is helpful. So when I multiply by 110, it shifts one place value to the left, the number does, and so that makes 230. Now I subtract, I'm left with 61. This one's a little trickier. You kind of have to, if you don't know the times facts, multiplication facts really well, you might have to calculate on the side. I only did that for 200. 200 times 23. For this one, for 2, I know 2 times 23. I can double that in my head because that's what 2 means, and that's 46. Plus, I did it up here. If I did 3, well, that would be, I think, too much. So even though 3 times 20, our estimate or starting number is 60, that's cutting it too close because it's not 60, it's 23. And I have to subtract it from 61. Okay, it's 23 groups, not 20. And so 2 is a better partial quotient. So 2 times 23 is 46. And then I subtracted that and ungrouped and got 15. So then my answer is 212, remainder 15. All right, so this takes practice. You're going to have to go through. You can see I wrote the process on the side. You first divide, then multiply, then you're going to subtract, then you're going to check and see if you can keep dividing up the amount. If you think money, that will help you visualize it some. But anyways, that's it for now. You can try some more on your own, make your own problems up, and then check with the calculator if you want. But try to make sure you can go through this process on your own, these steps, with any problem that's a 2-digit number or a 1-digit number divisor. All right, that's it for now. Ciao, folks.